So, you want to be a real estate investor, but where do you start? How do you know what information and sources to trust? That's where I come in. I'm Jonny Cattani, and this is the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, real quick, before we start, go to investwithcattani.com and download my free ebook, Is Commercial Real Estate Recession Proof? Now to today's show. What's up, guys? TGIF. Welcome to another episode of Friday Follow-Up here on the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, Jonny Cattani, and we have gotten through another week, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. So happy. I can't tell you guys, if you listened last week, you know, had a string there of some stress, not the best weeks I've ever had, but this is what a great week. Sun's been shining pretty much all week. We're headed into warm temps here in Salt Lake. It's just been a great week. Things are looking up. Sam and I are getting ready. We're headed to Bonnaroo next week. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge music fan, primarily electronic music. Which if you follow me on Instagram, you know, especially bass music. Listen, I was a lost kid when I got to college, and holy cow, I started college 13 years ago. Wow, that'll make you still feel young. Anyway, you know what? This group found me, or I found them, and took me in when I was lost, and it's been incredible. I've met so many incredible friends through this community, and the music has just gotten better and better. It's obviously now mainstream. Back in the day, it was not, you know, but thanks to people like deadmau5, Benny Benassi have kind of paved the way and really made it mainstream. And now we get to reap the benefits for amazing festivals like Bonnaroo. So we're very, very excited for that. You know, going with a big group of friends, going to be camping in an RV. Just a lot of fun, and we're very excited. So to all my weirdos out there who love electronic music, I'm right there with you. Very excited. And I love all music. Which is why I'm excited for Bonnaroo, because it's a multi-genre. So there's all different kinds of people. I think 21 Savage is also playing. I'm also a rap hip hop fan. Adam Carswell asked me, you guys can actually go listen I think it's episode, it doesn't show as an episode number. It's just a bonus episode. You'll see it. It's right around 10 or 11. It's a bonus episode I did with Adam Carswell. We were live. It was Adam Carswell and Rob Overstreet. Shout out to the good doctor, Dr. Overstreet, and shout out to Adam Carswell. But he asked us at the end, it was a live, we did a live at the Best Ever Conference back in February, I believe, in Denver. And he asked at the end, as he does on most of his podcasts, or maybe all of them, if you were stranded on an island and only could bring one album with you, what's the one album? And mine is the Carter 3 by Lil Wayne. Best rap album of all time. I know I'm not that I'm biased or anything. I'm sure people will disagree with me, but yeah, that album was, reminds me of high school. Yeah, I had this old, it was a 96, it was a hand-me-down. It was a 96 Chevy Tahoe, dark purple, two-door Tahoe, dark purple, had 2 rows of seats, but you know, only 2-door, and had big 20-inch chrome rims on it. Shout out to my cousin Jordan Rogers, great hand-me-down. Thing had, like, my grandma rebuilt the engine before I got it, or had it rebuilt, or had a new engine put in it. Had like a Chevy big block in it. Thing sounded like a freaking jet engine when you turned it on, just roared, made it impossible to sneak out. But it had 2 10-inch subs in the back, and I would just come in, you know, 6:30 a.m. blasting the Carter 3, just absolutely vibrating everything around me. Thought I was so cool. I was not, you guys. I was not cool in high school at all. Definitely my more formidable years have been honestly from probably like 25, 26 to, I shouldn't say more formidable years. I very much enjoyed college. As most of you know, I didn't end up graduating, but my friends that I still have today are from college. Still talk to a few people from high school. Shout out to Houston, Dr. Wright, as he's now known. He's a dentist out in California now. Yeah. So anyway, super huge tangent there. The point is I love music, very excited for Bonnaroo. But what I want to talk about today is someone asked me just recently, actually my producer, April, shout out to April. Her boyfriend is a listener and I love that. And wanted to know how to get started in real estate. And the biggest issue that I see, or the biggest hurdle that I see for people trying to get started, is the fact that there's so many different avenues you can go in, and they're all like, they'll all work, right? You can wholesale. I mean, heck, I've had a guest on that trades land, or like goes to auctions, buys at a discount, resells it. You have land. You've obviously got, your house hacking and burr strategy, right? Buy, renovate, rent. See, it's buy, renovate, rehab, repeat, I think, or buy, renovate, or buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, something like that. I can't remember, you guys. I did not burr. It's something along those lines. You've got fix and flip. You've got buy and hold single family. You've got, up to 4 units, house hacking. You've got commercial 5 units and above, kind of your low range, 5 to 20. You've got your medium, 20 to 50, kind of your larger 50 to 100. And then you've got your massive deals, 100 plus. You've got self-storage. You've got office, industrial. You've got flex industrial, which is basically where you've got like a smaller industrial warehouse with like an office. And it's very overwhelming. It is. And I'm not disagreeing with you guys. So the biggest key is starting with, what are your goals? What is it that you want to accomplish? What do you want real estate to do for you? And what do you want to do in real estate? If you love your W-2 job, as a lot of medical people, and if you guys have listened, a lot of doctors still in medicine and have a real estate portfolio. A lot of engineers also love what they do. So if you love your W-2 job, then you have a couple options. If you're a high income earner, you have the option to be totally passive. There's still an active component. You need to understand what you're doing in vetting. If you are not a high income earner, though, which I have a feeling is most people typically, right, who want to get involved and don't know how, because if you have money, you can just kind of like throw it out there and you can, afford to lose, so to speak. At least, typically, I mean, we never want to lose money, but you can afford it to a certain degree. So if you're a low income earner, like I had a guest, you guys will hear, Todd Dexheimer, later on, that will come out. It's a while. It'll come out in a while. Like I literally just recorded it this week, but he was a teacher and on the side would do construction in the summers, and naturally that led to fix and flip. But I want to focus on kind of that low to medium tier. Number one is, of course, figure out what your goals are, right? If you want to keep your W-2 job, you got a family, you need to keep it. That's great. You guys, creative financing is so incredible. I'm talking seller, like my favorite one of that is seller financing, even potentially zero down seller financing. That's where the seller owns the property outright. The owner becomes the bank. All you do is go to a title company and use a title company. Your fees are minimal, right? You're paying probably 1%, maybe even less, because you're just involving a title company. And all they're doing is handling the admin work and making it official. And you can negotiate your terms, right? The best way to do that is go to the seller, what do you want? A lot of times what they want is they want a retirement. So perfect, set up a 20-year AM, uh, 0 to small down payment. You can negotiate the interest rate, the pay, like everything can be negotiated in creative. And I say creative is a lot of different forms of financing. So I'm going to say in seller financing, you can negotiate all of the terms. So if you can't make a huge down payment, maybe you pay a little bit more for the asset, right? Now, ultimately the goal is to get it to cash flow. And so, I've had a guest who buys 20-unit apartment complex seller financing. Like, this isn't limited to single family housing. You can do this with, I know people who do it with self-storage. In fact, I'm potentially working on a deal that's a mom and pop, still in conversation, where it will be a seller finance deal, right? So that's number one. So the biggest reason that I wanted to bring all of these up is because there's literally no reason that you can't do something. The other thing you have is, so many people will read books and listen to podcasts and just try to become an expert. But you guys, and I've said this before, I've challenged you before, take action, you guys. That is the biggest thing. You have to take action. Choose what you want to do and do it. Another thing I'm obviously a huge proponent of is mentors. Find someone who's doing what you're doing. Find someone who is doing seller financing. Be like, hey, I want to learn about seller financing. Would you show me your process? Go out, find deals, and be like, hey, I'll go find some deals. Will you then help me negotiate with the seller? There is not a reason. The only reason you don't get started is because you get in your own way and you don't start. You have to take action. I was just talking to April, and she was talking about how many people have come to her wanting to start a podcast, and none of them end up even starting the podcast, right? I challenged you guys a few weeks back to just press play, you guys. The biggest thing that I did that got started for me was I literally scheduled a guest that was outside of my network. And so it wasn't like a friend who I could be like, hey, we got to postpone it. It was like, no, it was someone where I knew their time was valuable as well and had to show up for it. And boom, here we are. I think I've done now, close to, 150, over 150, 150 interviews, right? But all of that started because I just decided to take action. And that's the whole key here. You just got to take action. There's a million ways to be successful in this industry. You just have to choose the one that's most appealing to you, fits your style, and take action. So that's my challenge to you. For those of you who are wondering how to get started, find someone who's doing what you want to do, reach out to them, take action, have them hold you accountable for that action. Be like, cool, perfect. Now what I'm going to do, like, let's say you want to do seller financing, find someone who's doing seller financing. Be like, okay, I'm going to go find one deal in the next 2 weeks. I want you to hold me accountable to have at least one deal in the next 2 weeks in terms of finding a seller who's open to discussing seller financing, and then have that person help you. Maybe even bring them in on the deal, give them a little piece of it. That's my thing that I'm doing right now is I'm finding deals for very strong operators because they want to get into the Utah market. Shout out to Spartan. And shout out to Impact Self Storage as well. And, they're going to take the lion's share of the deal so that I can learn how to do this industry and learn how to do it on my own. But, You guys, you just have to take action. There's just no excuse, right? You can make excuses up, down, left, and right. Everybody's got one. They're like buttholes, right? Everybody's got one and they all stink. Promise, guys, you just have to take action. Don't be, listen, I know that making a mistake can cost you money, and that's a bummer for sure, which I realize keeps people on the sidelines, but that can't be the reason you sit out, because I promise you so many people have been successful and all of them have a story. I have a story. I'm going to talk about it next week. And you just have to accept it. And listen, that doesn't mean you have to make a mistake that's going to cost you money. You can do this to where you don't. It's just when you get into these larger things that are more, when it's more like a business, right? Which commercial real estate is very much more like a business than like a passive side thing. There's going to be, you're going to make mistakes, right? The more you do, and even in the small passive side thing, the more deals you do, somewhere you're going to make a mistake. But if you're only doing like a couple and that's all you want, maybe 1 or 2 deals a year, probably now you're going to learn something and look back and be like, oh, I maybe could have gotten a better deal on this deal I did last year. But, you may not make such a catastrophic mistake that will cost you money. So that's the big thing, getting started, figure out what you want to do. I know there's so much. So you have to figure out instead of figuring out what asset class, figure out what your goal is. If you love the hands-on stuff, then fix and flip might be for you. If you like the financial side of things, then seller financing is probably for you. And this is all assuming you either don't want to get into commercial real estate, or, you may not have the funds yet to be a passive investor. Listen, you guys, there's also crowdfunding. You can go to, I believe it's ground. Let me verify this here. I believe it's Ground Floor. Guys, go to groundfloor.us and you can start, I think, for as little as like, oh yeah, $10 minimum, you guys. All passive investing, basically what you do is you log in, and what these are funds, typically for house flippers. So essentially the whole thing's broken down. They'll show you where the property is. They've got it all the economics broken down. You invest, they're basically trying to raise X amount of dollars. You invest at least the minimum. Some deals, the minimum's higher than $10. You can start with $100. I don't think I've seen a minimum higher than $100. $100 into something that's getting anywhere from 6 to, I've seen up to 15%. Obviously, there's going to be more risky. So there's really nothing holding you back except just taking action. You've got to go out and take the action. And that's it. It sounds a lot easier. I understand, but I promise once you start, I've said it before, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Once you start, listen, you may not like it, but like, let's say you get started in fix and flip and you're like, you know what? I don't like all this hands-on stuff, but I like this aspect of it. So I'm going to get into this, which is more like, which is something I like more, but you're not going to learn all those things until you get started. So that's the biggest takeaway. I hope you guys, hope that added value to you guys. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. You guys are awesome. I'm so grateful for all of my listeners. Keep on listening. Follow us on social media. All right. Have a good weekend, guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Listen, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Even though this is technically a daily podcast, you know it's coming out the next day. We have a ton of content coming your way. So please like and subscribe. It helps a ton. Leave comments. Would love to know what you guys think. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.